Good morning. My name is Joe Hora. I am the local field sales rep for Bayer Crop Sciences. I work with the DeKalb Asgrow team and the new co-op locations in Region 1 through 4. Today we are in the new co-op Berlin seed warehouse. We'd like to be outside for this virtual field day, but due to Mother Nature, it's raining and it's a little chilly, so we've decided to move it inside. It's kind of ironic. We've been waiting for this rain for a few months, but we finally did get it. Today we've got a number of speakers from the new co-op sales team. We'll have Sean Lawler, who's the sales agronomist here at the new co-op Berlin location, talking a little bit about crop rotations, yield estimates, as well as some edge effect that he's been seeing. We've got Chuck Lundquist, the regional sales manager for Region 1. He's going to talk about plant health concerns, a harvest plan, as well as digging into some plants and some issues that he's seeing. And lastly, we'll have technical agronomist Corey Lundgren to talk a little bit about climate field view, some services they offer, as well as any technical services that you might need for the fall. One thing I did want to bring up, for your active participation in this event, if you include your agronomist, your sales location, and your t-shirt size, we will ship you a new co-op DeKalb t-shirt. So your agronomist, your location, and your t-shirt size, and I think 50 winners will be selected. So we really appreciate your participation in this event and look forward to answering any questions and any concerns that you have. Feel free to drop them and we'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. So I'm going to introduce Sean Lawler. He's the sales agronomist for the new co-op Berlin location.
Hey guys, I'm Sean Lawler. Like Joe said, I'm the agronomist here in Berlin. I've been here since 2012, so been around a few years. I kind of wanted to give a quick year in review, talk about a couple of things we're seeing as far as yield-wise on corn, beans, rotation versus corn on corn, and like Joe mentioned, a little bit on the edge effect that we've been seeing. So far this year, April started out great. We got planting through here about the 17th, 18th. Things were fit, dry, probably the best conditions we've seen since 2013, which was another dry year. We planted about everything in about 3 weeks, and then we got some rain in May, but pretty much quit raining. Just for some numbers, so a rough guess here, April 15th to September 7th. Kind of with climate and my calendar myself, we've had 7.9 inches of rain here in Rollman. Now just to reference that, 2019, that same time frame, we had 19.2 inches of rain. In 2018, we had 27.6. And in 2017, which was even a dry year as well, we had 18 inches. So a lot of what we're gonna see out in these fields this year is gonna be directly related to water and how far off our average 30-year average we are. So basically, I mean, a roundabout way, what we're trying to say, it's been really dry. Isaac and I have gone around, we've walked a lot of corn, we've walked a lot of beans the last few weeks. I'm right through here, I'm gonna peg our average yield 180, 185. Last year, I think we were in that probably 200, 210 range. So we're 15, 20 bushels off of that, which is actually pretty surprising with the lack of rain that we've had. I think you're gonna see a pretty big discrepancy though on corn. I think it'll probably be 40, 50 bushel off what our rotated is gonna be. And that's just stress conditions. We ripped it 10 inches deep. It's really light and fluffy. We just had a lot of different stresses and lack of water. That tends to take it the worst. We start bean-wise, I'm gonna say we need rains in August. I think what we're looking at there is probably 45, 50 bushel beans. I hope I'm low, but I mean, you guys know as well as I do, rains in August make beans. And here, based on my calendar, I had 7/10 in August, so we're pretty light. As we get to combining things and get out in the field, it's gonna be we're gonna see a wide range of yields even in the same field. And what we're gonna have to, it's hard just to point it at the number and blame things. We're gonna have to look at number one, probably soil type. Each soil type has different water holding capacity, what we started with, where we're at now, and you're gonna be going through a field. I've already been in some combines now where you go through a patch, it's just bright green. You get through it, all of a sudden it's a straight line. It's 30% corn to 18% corn in a matter of 2 foot. And it's just gonna be very, very variable. And once you get through that, we almost have to start looking at different factors as far as root mass. So root mass this year is gonna have a big deal as far as for yield wise. You take a root like this compared to a root like this, the sheer root mass with lack of water, you don't have the mass flow moving nutrients around like we normally do with your nitrogen, sulfur. We get a little P and K that way. This is intercepting a lot more soil, and it's just gonna have a lot more nutrients than what a root like this will. So, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of different things we look at, and then you can get into rootworm feeding. In our corn on corn fields this year, we had a lot higher rootworm pressure than we've had in the last 4 or 5 years. I know Joe and I have been on multiple calls in a lot of different fields. I've probably got 5x the feeding I've had the last 3 years. So when we're already starting with some restricted root mass and you start feeding on that or have a compaction there's gonna be a lot of different things there that affect yield. So it's hard just to point it at just the hybrid or just our nitrogen. There's a lot of different things we have to look at. So, I mean, obviously you're gonna wanna contact your agronomist. We can dive into whatever you want to, look through whatever you want to, and try to get an idea based on where we've been. And one other thing I did wanna note is hybrids. We've been selecting hybrids the last 3 years based on 18, 20 inches of water. We go to a year with 6 inches of water. Some of these numbers aren't gonna take it quite as well as others, just sheer luck of the odds. So hopefully, I mean, it's not too big, but next year it looks like it's gonna be dry again. We're probably gonna wanna pick numbers that did well this year in drier conditions because it looks dry next year. I guess one other thing we've been seeing around is this edge effect that people have been talking about. We saw it in 2017. It was drier in 17. We had predominantly south and east winds. We had that same thing again this year. And so like one example I have is over at my plot here at Mosier's, which is just a couple miles east of here. I've walked it quite a few times this year, and I'll start on the north end and I'll walk the entire plot clear to the south end. And there's 40 numbers, and the corn on corn plot on the south side is outlined by beans on the rest of the field. Well, the last 2 times I've walked it, you get there and all of a sudden I'll hit a row. And it's like, what the heck is going on here? Well, there's no ears. There's basically no corn there. I'm gonna say it runs about 28 rows to the south there, and I'm gonna say 50, 60 bushel corn. So I'm probably gonna have to take out probably 5, 6, 7 numbers there just because of this effect. And I think you're gonna see it on predominantly your southern and your eastern sides bordered by beans or gravel roads. We don't know the exact reason as to why it's all of a sudden showing up now, but I believe it has to do with the dry conditions, your south winds right during pollination, and just lack of rainfall. I guess if you guys have any questions on any of that, feel free to comment below. I guess we can move on. And Chuck, do you want to talk a little bit next?
I'm Chuck Lundquist. Like Joe said, I'm the regional sales agronomist for parts of Region 1. And I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about developing a harvest plan. My assistant today is Isaac Luzman, the sales tech for Roll-In. So as we talk about a harvest plan, normally in a better year, like Sean said, when we have a little bit more rainfall and conditions are a little more conducive to growing the crop, we might just pull out our planter book, look through it, say, well, I'm doing corn, here's my early maturities. I'm going to combine here, work through to my late maturities. A year like this year, where we get into stress conditions, we might need to put a little more thought into that plan, develop some more ideas as to what might be in different fields and what fields might need to be the first ones taken out. So these plants that Isaac has, the first one here, I dug these plants this morning. They are from a plot right next to Fort Dodge here. So this plant, as you can see, still has some green. Break it down so you can see kind of the top too. But as you can see, part of it's green. Down at the bottom, we had a lot of cannibalization. So in a year like this, where we were short on rain, the plant's going to be pulling a lot of nutrients from the bottom leaves, the stalk, trying to push everything it can into that ear. And as you can see, this plant did a pretty good job of still trying to fill that ear. This plant was literally right next to that plant. Pulled them out side by side, like I said this morning. As you can see, this plant started at the bottom, cannibalized itself all the way up to the top, and had a lot of struggles as it was going through the ear, brown top to bottom. And as you can see on the ear, We had a little more tip back, not near the size of ear that we had on the first plant. This plant, this hybrid has a lot of good plant health, a lot of stalk strength. So it's normally a pretty good plant, holds itself together fairly well usually. Another thing that we're seeing, come a little closer, is a lot of stalk problems down in here. You're gonna run into a lot of stalk rots, some discoloration. You might have some hollowing out. So as you're looking at those plants, be looking at these bottom nodes, doing some pinches, some push tests, push the plants around, see how they're doing. And if you see a lot of discoloration down in this areas, that's some things that you're gonna wanna note so that you can maybe move that field up a little closer toward the top of your list. So 3 things to look at that I would say are the kind of the top things to adjust or look through as you're doing your plan is like rainfall, like Sean said, was so variable. You're gonna have some of your fields that had a lot more rain versus other fields. Soil characteristics of that field is a lighter field, maybe a little bit heavier dirt. Those fields are gonna probably stay healthier longer. You have a lot more corn like the first plant I showed in those fields. The other thing to look through is your plant characteristics, so drought, plant health, and stalk strength. Those will be the 3 things to evaluate on a field-by-field basis, what hybrids you have where, and look through those numbers and see, is it a more of a workhorse type hybrid? Maybe it's a racehorse hybrid. The lower the scores on those are gonna be the fields that you probably need to move up towards the top of your list as you develop your harvest plan. The last thing that I'd comment on, and we've been seeing some really good side-by-sides in our field health, or field view, the health imageries, is fungicide applications. If you had fields that were applied with fungicide versus not applied with fungicides, those are gonna be the fields that you also wanna move into your harvest plan. If they're fields that weren't, obviously move them up towards the top. We can see a lot of strips showing up in the side-by-sides. As we walk those fields, you can tell the plants are deteriorating faster where there was a fungicide applied. So those are some of the things to talk to your local agronomist about, get a plan together, and be ready for fall. Corey, you wanna come up next?
Hello everyone, I'm Corey Lundgren. I'm the technical agronomist for New Cooperative. I've been with New for 18 years. In the past 16 years, I have been the location sales specialist out of Vincent. Now, moving into this technical agronomy role, one of my jobs is to support and promote Climate Field View. Climate Field View is the premier software platform from Bayer Crop Science, formerly Monsanto, to give you a tool to help you better manage your farm acres. FieldView has been priced at $999 for the past couple years. This year, Bayer has slashed prices, so farmers can sign up for FieldView Pro for $99 an acre. But if you purchase DeKalb Asgrow products from New Cooperative, we can make that cost free. Also, if you are a Bayer Plus user or subscriber, we can also make that cost free to you. And what that means is you get access to FieldView Pro to look at plant health, plant imagery, satellite imagery of your farms, identify where the problem areas might be throughout the whole growing season, be able to better manage where your crop inputs are needed, and after harvest, give you the ability to do true side-by-side comparisons, taking out some of the noise in your fields, like compaction areas, overlaps, point rows, drowned outs, things that tend to muck up your data, to truly show where your hybrids perform the best. Now, one of the other things we look at going into fall is soil fertility. In the past, New Cooperative has been a follower of Iowa State University's soil test recommendations. But as we've grown, and as you know, Iowa is not all one soil type. The Fort Dodge area is predominantly Des Moines lobes. But as we move into western Iowa, into the Luss Hills and up to the Missouri River, we get into a whole host of other different soil types. So that is part of my job, as well as the senior agronomists here at New Cooperative, to better manage our variable rate equations to make more sense of these changing soil types throughout the state of Iowa. What that means to you is that we can better manage where your fertility dollars are spent and return a either better investment on your fertilizer dollar, or help you manage that dollar to where it's truly needed. As crop prices go down and inputs tend to stay on the high side, where you spend your fertilizer dollar is more and more important. The new co-op sales team and agronomists can help you better manage your fertilizer needs going into fall and throughout next spring. Thank you.
Thanks, Corey, and wanted to just say thanks to all the new co-op sales agronomists, Sean, Chuck, Isaac for participating, and Corey. Also want to wish you all a safe harvest. Thank you for your continued business. And just one more note, if you want the t-shirt, comment your salesman, your t-shirt size, and your sales location, and we'll be sure to get you t-shirts out. Thank you for participating in this event, and we look forward to working with you this fall.